Happy Friday, folks. College Countdown here with Josh Neighbors, part of the Rogue Media Network and also part of 365 Sports. You made it to Labor Day weekend, made it to football season. Sit back, relax, enjoy a couple orders of business that we have today. First, make sure you all like and subscribe to the video. Find us wherever you all get your podcasts. Leave your comments. That stuff always really helps with inspiration for the show and whatnot. And also like those videos as well. And also at CC Podcast JN on X/Twitter. And then we've got some news coming up about DraftKings that I cannot wait to share with you guys. But we're doing the Saturday 7 today. 7 biggest games, most consequential games across the country. We'll pick those against the spread using lines from our friends at DraftKings. And also on the show, we're going to say goodbye to Lee Corso. They're going to do it tomorrow on College Gameday. And I think it's obviously something that we should touch on. I'm 28 years old, so that's, it's a topic very near and dear to my heart. Lee Corso, obviously somebody very, very prevalent for a lot of us growing up, especially in that era in college football. So, that's where we got to start. I mean, for me, Lee Corso, I remember him going to Virginia Tech games. Obviously, watching College Gameday was a little bit of an experience. Like, it's something that you'd share with your family. My dad and I would always go to the gym on Saturday mornings, and then we'd come back. He'd swim. I'd play basketball, and then around 11 o'clock, 11:15 East Coast time, we'd make it back, and we'd watch that last portion of game day, where they kind of led up to everything. They did their picks. Oftentimes the game was later that they were at, so they wouldn't have to move into the stadium. That's more common now, especially on the Fox pregame show, because that Fox game is big noon kickoff very oftentimes. So they have to do more of the moving into the stadium for that, last part. But I'll never forget his car being struck by lightning at Virginia Tech, saying, don't know what a Hokie is, but God's one of them. Obviously, a lot of the headgear and stuff, shooting the guns whenever it was an Oklahoma State game or a Texas Tech game or, OU game, right? Always having the guns was a huge part of it. And then the F-it story, obviously, that he has at the University of Houston with Carl Lewis on stage. And I encourage you all to go this week, check out Brian Curtis's podcast on The Ringer. It's called The Press Box. He had a great conversation with Kirk Herbstreit just about their relationship with Corso and with Herbstreit and kind of the different facets that it took. And people forget, man, like Craig James was actually the first guy who was on College Gameday with Lee Corso. And it's crazy, Herbstreit, I think, was 27 when they put him on there. Chris Fowler was hosting at 28 years old. But that show really did stay pretty much like mostly the same for a long period of time. They added Desmond Howard in there. But I mean, it was Fowler, Herbstreit, Corso, and then Desmond. They ended up adding a few more characters into the mix. David Pollock eventually came on. They added the Bear, right? I think Stanford Steve does some stuff with them now, I want to say. But they really did, keep that same core. And just the premise, man, like go around the country, and it was a huge deal, right? If your school got game day, it was a massive, massive deal. I don't think Wake Forest ever got it from my dad. I know Virginia Tech obviously did. Missouri never had it. They never came close when I was in school. And then I remember I actually went to game day 2007. Virginia Tech played ECU. It was the first game after the shooting had happened in Blacksburg. And so that was obviously a really emotional day and an emotional moment. This show has been everywhere. Corso has been everywhere. And obviously things changed for him once he had the stroke. And things look different for him. And it's been a struggle as of late. And I'm not usually very sympathetic when it comes to entertainment, just working in this business. Like, I think you should put people out to pasture. I don't have a super high appetite for watching Terry Bradshaw still on Fox. I think it was great that Jimmy Johnson called it quits when he did. I understand Corso kind of got to go out in his own power. I don't always think that's the best thing. I think he should have been gone a while ago. I don't think it's anything bad or wrong with saying that. Obviously, like, it's not malpractice to trot somebody on TV when they're in that state, but it was uncomfortable at times, and it put more stress on the show's apparatus, the show's characters, especially on Kirk Herbstreit, who I know didn't mind having to help out, but like that's difficult, because he'd have to help finish thoughts for Lee and things like that. And I think at the end of the day, this is an entertainment product. A lot of us get pushed out, don't get to have the send off that we want. Happens in sports all the time too. You see it very rarely. Do athletes, the game kind of chooses for you. Father Time chooses for you. And it's time. And it's nice that Lee gets his swan song. It could have happened a bit earlier if we're being quite honest. But once again, don't say that to be rude or whatever. But also, like, they can't replace him. There's no way in which you can replace Lee Corso. And also, the show has taken a totally, to me, a different kind of different tact now in terms of like what it is. The show really used to be kind of that home base for every single Saturday. And as media culture's changed, as we've gotten much more towards the sound bites, clips, things like that, it produced a lot of that, but we weren't, when game day was in its heyday, in the early 2000s and whatnot, like we didn't have that kind of culture where you were clipping stuff like that. Stuff would make it its way to YouTube. Like if you saw Corso say F it at Houston, you couldn't see it usually until like it was on YouTube. At least I think that's where I saw it, because I think that game was in 2015. It was, it was a while ago, and Twitter was around and whatnot, but you wouldn't see it as immediately. And so stuff had to circulate and then make its way there. And, kind of a lot more urban legend involved with some of the stuff, some of these things. But, Lee Corso, obviously with the headgear, trying something out, making something different, making something very much his own. And, the way that he was able to be so funny, I think, with the way, with the way he taunt the crowd in one way. And he would always say it's entertainment, sweetheart. That's what Kirk Herbstreit said that he always said. And he understood that. Like, he was able to play heel. He was able to play face. He was able to kind of oscillate in that area. And, in college football, like, he is a one of one when it comes to media. I mean, there really aren't other people like that. Like, I know Pat McAfee's in the space now, but he occupies a much different sector of sports media than Lee Corso did. Lee Corso was once a week, and they would do those check-ins during the day. They do recaps at night, but now it's just the show, and the show's over. And so I think that there's no recreating it. They don't need to recreate it. Like, I think Nick Saban's really good. I think having him on there is very additive. I don't think they should have gotten rid of David Pollock. I thought he was really good. That didn't sit super right with me, but I've got no interest in seeing Pat McAfee on College Game Day. I think him yelling about neck and stuff like that, like it's kind of just obscene for the sake of being obscene. I know pairing him with Saban is this fun juxtaposition, but it's not fun for an extended period of time. And Pat's knowledgeable sometimes, but man, it's hard to do a 4-hour radio show like he does every single day and then also do College Game Day as well. That's a very difficult thing. Or was it 3 hours that a show is? It's very challenging for him to do that, especially because his show covers all sports, not just college football, right? A whole lot of pro football involved in there as well. And then other stuff, the cultural stuff and all the stuff that they do. So, people think that he's a replacement. He's not, and I don't think they're trying to replace it. I think they're trying to go for a different vibe altogether with some of what they're doing now on game day. But yeah, we'll say goodbye to Lee Corso tomorrow. I'm not even sure I'll watch it live. I'll watch some of the stuff on Twitter afterwards, but like, I don't need to watch goodbye. I feel like I've been saying goodbye for years, and also like the Lee Corso that we all knew kind of been gone for a while. So I'll watch some of the stuff afterwards, but I don't need to watch the last headgear pick or anything like that. Although I did see Fox will be carrying it as well. So that is somewhat cool. All right, let's see. Saturday 7. So for those of you who are new, it's not really Saturday 7 this week because the games are spread across multiple days, but I picked the 7 most impactful games of the weekend, according to me, and we'll pick them against the spread. So it's not the best games. It's the games that I think have the most on the line. Now, these are the 7 best games just because it's week 1. So stakes have not mounted in a way that is, here, I think we just kind of know the situation for a lot of these. But this week, we'll have these here. Jack Allen will pick these as well. We'll be able to keep up. And once again, these lines are from our friends at DraftKings. So Friday, 7 o'clock on Fox, Auburn at Baylor. We've talked about this one a good deal. Jack and I did this last week, where the issue about this game for Auburn is they've put all of their chips in on this year. They have not gone for a sustainability model, a maintenance model, trying to, sit 7-8 wins, then peak. Like, they have just been up and down. And I think it's fair to say, like, has Hugh Freeze maybe lost his fastball some? It's okay to ask that. Their offense was bad last year. They were able to run the ball pretty effectively, and their defense has been good, but every Auburn coach has good defenses. It's not hard to get really good defensive players in that part of the country, and especially on the defensive line, it's been something they've been so adept at for years and years. I think Sawyer Robertson's playing with a ton of confidence. I don't know how much confidence is in this Auburn offense. So I think that Auburn's defense could play really well early, but I think eventually Baylor's offense will find a groove. This is a huge opportunity for Dave Aranda to get Baylor off on the right note. It feels like Baylor's got a chance this year to take the Big 12. I'm not sure if y'all saw it last night, but the 4 Big 12 teams that we saw were not very impressive. Cincinnati's offense leaves a lot to be desired. I know Nebraska's got a good defense. UCF's offense, yikes. Oklahoma State dealing with the quarterback injury now. And then let's see, I'm trying to think final. So UCF, Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, and I'm missing one more. Whoever it was last night was not obviously super impressive because it's not sticking in my brain. Kansas did look good, but they played Fresno, so we really don't know. We'll get more information on some of these other Big 12 teams, but Baylor's got the ability to be good. They've got the resources to be good, and I think they got the coach that will allow them to be good. I think they've got the quarterback this year. So we'll see how effective they can be. But I like Baylor catching points at home. This was my thought last night. I thought Boise was a bit overvalued in that game. I took USF plus 5.5. I took the money line as well. And I feel like this is a Baylor situation where I do pretty much the same. This line's come down. I did these yesterday, Thursday afternoon. This line has come down. This line now is around 1. It's been swinging back and forth, but I think it's going to close as nearly a pick'em. That would be my best guess. But I like Auburn plus 2.5. Saturday, 11 a.m. on Fox. It's going to be number 1 Texas at number 3 Ohio State. This one, the DraftKings Sportsbook, is a 1.5 point spread. Ohio State is favored. The one way I would go, and I think this, I'm going to go check this total right now, but I would play the under here. I think that's the smart play. I just think that with these two teams not returning a lot, Jeremiah Smith, obviously on offense coming back, and Arch Manning is back, but hadn't really played a ton, right? So I think it's fair to say that like these offenses might not have the edge here, although there's some very good offensive minds involved, obviously. But I think it's fair to say that the offenses might be a step behind the defenses in this game. And I think it's one of those games where Arch Manning could actually manage the game with his legs. I think there's a good chance of that happening. And it's flipped now. So this spread is flipped over the course of a day. So Texas at the moment is a 1.5 favorite. I think that's the right way. I mean, I'm leaning Texas. I know they're on the road, but just because I really don't know what this Ohio State offense is going to look like. Can Texas bracket Jeremiah Smith the same way they did last time? They took him out of that game. Now, Ohio State was still able to effectively move the ball, but that's because they had Emeka Ibuka and they were good at tight end. And obviously they were able to use both running backs as well. Will Howard, the trigger man, a lot more experience. So I'm going to go Texas in this game, but it's not one that I'm super keen on. This is not a game that I like a lot. I like the Baylor game a lot. Don't love this game, but I'll go Texas plus 1.5. Saturday, 2:30 ABC, Alabama, FSU. This line was 14 when we had it. If you go and you check the DraftKings Sportsbook right now, it's still at 14. So if you can catch an extra hook, I would go ahead and bet that. But 14 is still a comfortable number for me. Ryan Williams, obviously best player in this game. I really like Kalen DeBoer. We're going to see if Florida State can bounce back in a meaningful way from that disaster of a season last year. Thomas Castellanos has been talking his tail off. I like the fact that Florida State's at home. I like the fact the game's at 2:30. It's kind of a tough environment. I know Alabama's hot too, but I think it gives Florida State a good advantage. I expect them to be able to hang in this game. Alabama to win, FSU to cover, I think is not a unreasonable expectation for the outcome here. Saturday, 6:30, ABC, number 9 LSU at number 4 Clemson. This spread's got a little big. It's at 4 now as it sits right at this moment. I like Clemson minus 3.5. 4, I guess you could do 2. In general in this game, I don't know how good of run blocking we're going to see from LSU. I know Clemson's front is good. I know their offense is improved. But the big questions here are, can LSU effectively run the football against Clemson? And can LSU's defense, do they look appreciably better than last year? And so if I'm asking more questions the other way around, I don't like that. So I'm going to take Clemson at home in this game. Lay 3.5. Not going to think too much about it. Sunday, 2:30, ABC, Virginia Tech against number 13 South Carolina. This one's in Atlanta. 7.5 point spread. If you can grab 7.5 right now, y'all know I'm a Virginia Tech guy. Not too high on them for this one. But 2 running quarterbacks, pace should be fun. I mean, taking care of the football is going to be the big key. Lenore Sellers, though, he is a cut above a Kyron Jones. I think Kyron Jones is good, but Lenore Sellers really, to me, is a very impressive player. And if he can build off what he did last year, they're going to have a chance because of how special he is. So I like South Carolina. If you can get around a touchdown, I would do that. I would even toss them in a teaser. Maybe if you want to go tease with South Carolina and Clemson, flip that line. If you have 6.5 point tease on that, you can go South Carolina favored by 1, Clemson +3. Not a bad play right there. That might be something worth looking into. Sunday, 6:30, ABC, Notre Dame, Miami. So this one, I know it's a Catholics versus convicts. I know it's a lot of fun. I don't know if Notre Dame's going to be as good as last year. I like Carson Beck, and I think Mario Cristobal is a good assimilator of talent. Carson Beck is a drop-off from Cam Ward. There's no way around that. Cam Ward was fantastic last year, and you're going to have to bank on Miami's defense being a lot better than they were last season, because if it were not for Cam Ward and how spectacular he was, that's a pretty average football team. Not saying Carson Beck's not good, but I like Notre Dame on the road. Plus, I think the crowd's going to be pretty skewed. I mean, you'd like to think that Miami's going to have a lot of fans there, but let's be honest, Notre Dame's a national brand, and their fans will be very glad to go to Florida this time of year, or go to Miami rather this time. Well, Miami any time of year is fantastic. But yeah, I think it's going to be a well-attended game for the Irish. Monday, 7 o'clock, ESPN, TCU at North Carolina. The Horned Frogs are favored in this game. And I think that's because Jack and I talked about it this week. Like, is that roster appreciably better for North Carolina? Is it kind of the same as what Mac Brown had? And is there some innovation that Bill Belichick's bringing to the table that we've not previously talked about, or that we're not privy to, that makes him kind of this new game-changing coach, right? I mean, we know he's a great coach. We know he was a great coach, at least in the pros, but he hadn't done as well at the professional level, obviously, after Tom Brady left. I'm not saying that to take away from him or anything, but is there anything that tells us for sure that this team is going to be, like anything's different with Bill? And once again, I don't think it's a massive issue what's happening with his girlfriend, but it is alarming to me that somebody who's such a big do-your-job guy and is anti-distraction allowed something to become such a big distraction. That was a bit inconsistent with the person that we've learned Bill Belichick to be. So that did give me some pause. Once again, it's his personal life, it's fine. But once people at the university start getting embarrassed about public appearances, that's when you draw the line. Because, I mean, that's where Bill Belichick would have drawn the line with his players previously. So I think that is the question would be here is it causing you to not do your job? Like, Gronk partied, but nobody questioned Gronk's work ethic or his value to the team. Showed up, did his job. Brady, obviously, same thing. And they had a low tolerance for guys who didn't do it. I mean, they were notorious for cutting guys, sitting guys, whatever, if they didn't follow kind of that Patriot way, much like the Heat have Heat culture with Pat Riley, kind of the same substance there. I don't know if that's the case with Bill Belichick anymore. I don't know for sure, but obviously this kind of looks like a massive crack in the armor in that category. Both these teams need this game. Like, TCU really does need to get off the right foot. And as good as Sonny Dykes was that one season, they have not built upon that, and they should. Based off location, based off of finances, based off facilities, TCU, and pedigree as well, TCU should be consistently good, and they have not been. So let's see if that changes at all. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at CCPodcastJN. I'm at JoshNeighbors_. Find the show wherever you guys get your podcasts. Like the video. Leave your comments. We'll be back on probably Monday night or Tuesday to recap the weekend and hit upon all the big stories. But enjoy your Labor Day weekend, folks. Football is finally back, the full slate. I'll be enjoying it. I hope you all do too.